Most of you probably know the Sims games, one of EA's most successful franchises, as somewhat realistic life simulation games with 4 mainline entries. These games are known to give the player complete creative freedom over their sim, so there's no actual story in these games. Well, not in the mainline games. But what if I told you that there was a Sim spin-off that actually had a story? Well, there is. Actually, there's quite a lot, but today we'll be focusing on this one. MySims Kingdom. It's one of the many MySims games released on Nintendo DS. While there is another game with the exact same name on the Wii, from what I've seen of it, it's a completely different game which just has some of the same characters. I absolutely loved this game as a child, but unfortunately I was never able to finish it because I couldn't figure out how to progress in the story at a certain point. But now, many years later, I took it upon myself to finally finish this game and see if it's actually as good as I remember or if I've just been blinded by my nostalgia. Before we can start playing, we first have to name our town and make our character. Afterwards, we're greeted by the new mayor, Ellen. We also get introduced to King Ronald, and we can give ourselves a name. Apparently, we were out of town for a while, so Ellen was holding on to her key for us. But she somehow lost it! Come on, Ellen, you had one job! While she was searching for it, she gave us a package to deliver to a guy called Dr. F. This guy is the definition of a mad scientist. He's an absolutely unhinged guy. Apparently, the package contained the final part he needed to finish his newest invention, the extractor. It's a blaster that can be used to extract building materials, also called essences, from pretty much any object or building we see. And he gives us this prototype of the extractor to test it out for him, but he takes it back afterwards. After that, Ellen shows up, and she finally found the key. She tells us to get some rest since we just returned from a long journey. And you know what? That sounds like a great idea. So yeah, while we were peacefully sleeping, some guy just took everything from our town. He took decoration, houses, and even the damn bridge. Naturally, Ellen is freaking out since this is all happening right after she just became the new mayor. Since she seems very stressed out, we offer to help her. She had to take care of other things now, so she tasked us with paying a visit to our town's #1 mad scientist, Dr. F, and asked him if he had any idea about what's going on. We tell Dr. F about the town's situation. He's naturally shocked, but luckily he already has a plan in store. He gives us back the extractor, as well as a new invention. A pot called the synthetron, which we can use to make new decorations using the essences. He told us that we should use the synthetron alongside the extractor to rebuild the town. Now our mission is to create lots of pretty stuff such as flower beds, trees, or street lamps to make our town beautiful again, as well as find out who is behind these dubious crimes and catch him for good. As we go around town, placing decoration and searching for clues, we meet some of the townfolk, such as this guy, Roy, the owner of the furniture store. So, up until this point, there's been basically nothing that would make this a typical Sims game. Like, it's just nothing like those games. But whenever you meet someone new in this game, you first have to choose the right reactions to make them happy, and only then will they become your friend. Just like in the mainline Sims games. And this can be really annoying with people such as Roy, who just can't decide what they want to hear. Roy is sad that now since everyone is leaving the town, he isn't getting any customers anymore. And I try to encourage him, try to be angry at the criminal, try to laugh in order to cheer him up. But no, he wants me to cry with him, which will change absolutely nothing about the situation. Great way of thinking, Roy. Anyways, we go to the area to the right of us, and there we meet the lady who runs a clothing shop, Sharon, and the child prodigy tennis player, Victoria. After befriending Sharon by making her a flower bed, which was much faster than befriending Roy, I buy the latest strip from her and spend all my savings in the process. Afterwards, I befriend Victoria, and she gives us a tennis racket so we can play tennis with her. And this is where we get to the main part of this game, the mini-games. Basically, we gradually unlock new parts of the map by doing certain side quests, and in every area there's new Sims that we can befriend. Those Sims either want something from us or they offer us to play a minigame with them. As a reward for reaching a certain score in the minigames, they give us machine parts which we can bring to Dr. F to upgrade the synthetron and progress the story further. And since there's going to be a lot of minigames, I'll be ranking them from worst to best. So, back to Victoria. Her minigame is just basic tennis. I easily crush her and she gives us a baffling battery. This minigame is really basic, but it's still pretty fun. I'll put it at a B tier. After exploring the rest of the main island a little further, we step across a stranded fellow who doesn't remind me of a different character at all. Once we've helped him repair his compass, he offers us to let us ride on this ship to the parts of town across the river. And since this is our only way of crossing the river, now that the criminal broke our bridge, we happily accept his offer. Now, after I have decorated the town again, cheered up the villagers, and gained access to another part of the island, the town's rating is slowly starting to go up again, with us getting a second star. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that one of our other main goals is actually getting the town to a 5-star rating, because since our town got kind of destroyed by the criminal, it went down to a 1-star rating. So that's also part of our tasks. On the new part of the island, we meet new Sims, such as Hugh, the officer who's really scared of ghosts. His minigame is just a little ghost hunt, where we have to tap the ghost on the touchscreen to get rid of them. It's also rather simple, but they made it pretty fun by adding special power-ups and a big ghost at the end. I'd actually give this a spot in the A tier. At the bottom left corner of the island, we meet Torajiro, a master in building stuff. We can commission him to make buildings for us, as long as we can provide him with the necessary blueprints and essences. I'm sure he'll be useful later, so we'll keep him in mind. And then there's this lady here, Mary, and her minigame, kayaking. This might be a good time to tell you that a lot of these minigames that rely on the DS's touchscreen can be a little tricky to win with my unique, totally legit Nintendo DS controls. But that's also the reason why I got horrendous scores in 90% of these minigames. But it wasn't too much of a problem most of the time. This one was just horrible without the touchscreen. Like, I had about 3 minutes for just one lap. In the end, I wasn't even able to beat the score for a bronze medal, so I got no reward at all. But I'm sure we won't need the reward from this game to progress in the story, right? But yeah, absolutely F tier. F this game. Later, we meet a skier, Emily. She tells us that she's really sad because the thief apparently broke the gondola that takes us up to the top of the town. I told her that I'm of course going to fix it, and she thanked us and ran off to where the gondola used to be. After asking Dr. F about this, he told us what parts he needed to make a new engine for the gondola, and luckily we already had all of the parts. Then we commissioned our good friend Torajiro, who we met earlier, to build the gondola, and he easily built it in less than a day. With the gondola rebuilt and getting access to the top part of the map, our town's rating went up by another star. Before I went up the gondola though, I paid a visit to the mayor, Ellen. Since things have calmed down a little again, she doesn't seem that stressed out anymore. In fact, she started a new hobby, growing and selling fresh vegetables. Although right now she could use a helping hand, because the demand for vegetables is really high. So we, as always, help her out by taking over the selling part for a bit. This minigame is really easy, but also really damn boring. So I'll actually give it a C tier. Sorry, Ellen. Now, it's finally time to go up the gondola. But there's a surprise waiting for us at the top.
The criminal has a UFO?
You think he'd let me fly it if I joined him? I mean,
How despicable!
he's even stealing things from the mountains of our town, that damn thief! I tell Ellen and the king about it, and with that we reach star level 4. Alright, we're really close to catching the criminal now. But this is also where my knowledge of the game ends. I'm pretty sure I got stuck at 4 stars as a kid, so from this point on, I'll have very little idea of what comes next. So, by now, you know the drill, so I'll speed this up a little. New area, new villagers, new minigames. First up, fishing. Great way to make money, but takes way too long. Pretty boring, but I love this sound. So it goes into B tier. Next, stargazing. My favorite minigame. It's really addicting to try to get a high score and also sort of relaxing. S tier, absolutely goated. Next, skiing. Yeah, don't forget I was on an emulator, so it went something like this. Very fun. A tier. Oh yeah, a guy crashed into the town with his helicopter and he became Dr. F's new assistant. We can use him for fast travel, but it doesn't matter because it costs 10k to build a helipad? Whew. That was a lot of work. But because of us working so hard, Dr. F can now finish his newest invention, and the town will be saved.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Please no, no, no! So yeah, remember when I said this?
Sure, we won't need the reward from this game to write some story, right?
Guess what? We needed to progress in the game story!
So I tried it again for like 20 minutes and failed miserably. But at some point I thought of using my drawing tablet as a substitute for the DS touchscreen. And mind you, it still wasn't easy, it was really damn hard. But with this little trick, I was able to beat even this minigame with a bronze medal. And with that, I've actually beaten all the minigames and gathered all the parts. Nope, not quite. I forgot one minigame, the snowball fight minigame. It's alright, C tier I'd say. You just gotta click on the snowman. It's kind of boring. Moving on. So now I'm finally ready to finish the game and save the town. But before that... Perfect. Man, I can't wait to see what the final invention's gonna be. Maybe it's gonna be some kind of weapon, maybe some laser, a mech. Man, I can't wait to see a dog. He made a robot dog. So, with our new robo dog, we track down the villain who had a secret base in the zoo all along. We enter his lair and go confront the one behind it all, Dr. Nefario.
My life's work? But perhaps I was too focused on my research. Perhaps I lost perspective. Everything I have done was to further my research, but I realize now that I have caused a lot of trouble for this town. Now that my research is over, I may be able to see things clearly again.
Ellen, is it true? You and Swebb have captured the criminal? Did you really capture the suspect?
Yes, Your Highness.
So yes, I understand you drive some kind of UFO?
If Your Highness so demands, I have the keys right here.
Well, yes, I suppose I should confiscate this. Splendid. Can you fly in a UFO? Well, this man seems to have realized the evil of his ways. I believe we've no choice but to forgive the poor soul.
What the I mean, yes, if you command it, sire. Sure, I guess.
Well, it appears that the troubles of this town are finally over. Thank you, Swebb.
What?
Yeah, that really is the ending. Nefario tells Ellen the king that he was conducting research for the town, and then he bribes the king with his UFO? Let me remind you, this dude almost killed a guy by crashing into his helicopter, almost ruined our town by stealing houses, and illegally built his lair in the zoo? And the king just says, well, just don't do it again, my guy, and doesn't punish him at all. Well, with that, the credits roll. This was MySims Kingdom. Was it as good as I remember? No, it wasn't really. It was a lot of walking around the town, which was really slow, and the minigames weren't all that innovative. And the story was lackluster at best, with such a weird ending. Like, why did they even bother to give the guy an entire evil layer just for it to explode and him not to get punished at all? But looking past all that, do I regret that I finally finished it? Absolutely not. It was still super fun playing it for me, not just because of the nostalgia, but also because it's genuinely not that bad of a game. And to be fair to the game, I didn't even nearly touch on all of the content of the game, like the fish index, the wish fulfilling achievements, or any of the designing and decorating parts of the game, like making new buildings, decorating your houses, etc. So maybe I'll come back to 100% it one day. But for now, I never want to see a canoe or Roy's face ever again!